Welcome class 10th to The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, Act 4, Scene 1, Part 3, to the famous trial scene which marks the climax of the play. And we have already been doing how the Duke, who has been appealing to Shylock for mercy, but Shylock is relentless in his revenge, refuses the double the amount of offer made by Bassanio, and more railing against him by Gratiano is there, but all fall on deaf ears till a learned doctor and his clerk, who are no other than the disguised Portia and Nerissa, come to the court. So now let us see what happens next. So coming to line number 146 onwards, as Nerissa has already come in the disguise of the clerk and handed over the letter from Dr. Bellario to the Duke. So the Duke says, "This letter from Bellario doth commend a young and learned doctor to our court. Where is he?" So he addresses everyone who are there in the court, says that this letter is from Dr. Bellario and he has recommended a young and a learned doctor of law to our court. And then he asks Nerissa, "Where is he?" So Nerissa is of course disguised as a clerk. She says, "He attendeth here hard by to know your answer, whether you will admit him. That he at present is close by only and waiting whether you will let him in to know your answer." Of course, the Duke is very anxious for the case to be solved. And if Bellario has not been able to come, of course, so he has sent somebody. Duke says, "With all my heart. Some 3 or 4 of you go give him courteous conduct to this place." He says, of course, he is most welcome, and he then points out to 4 or 5 people over there, 3 or 4 people. He said that go to the door and bid him a civil, courteous welcome into the court. Bring him inside, escort him inside. Meantime, the court shall hear Bellario's letter. So he want to everybody standing there in the court to hear what Dr. Bellario has written. Clerk, that is Nerissa in the disguise of the clerk, she reads loudly. And now see children, this is the letter written by Dr. Bellario addressed to the Duke as directed by Portia. So Nerissa reads, "Your Grace shall understand that at the receipt of your letter I am very sick, but in the instant that your messenger came in loving visitation was with me a young doctor of Rome." He says, "Your Grace, my lord, kindly understand this, that when your messenger came to me," so the Duke must have sent somebody with a letter to call him there to solve the case, that when your messenger came with the letter, when I received the letter, at that time I was sick. But in the instant that your messenger came, but at that moment only, at that time only, by chance, I had a young doctor of law who had come on a friendly visit, who had come to me on a friendly visit. This doctor had come from Rome, and his greatness, his name is Balthazar. So now he introduces in the letter that he is Dr. Balthazar, doctor of law. I acquainted him with the cause in controversy between the Jew and Antonio the merchant. So Dr. Bellario is telling the Duke through the letter that I informed this Dr. Balthazar, my friend, about the nature of the dispute, about this case of controversy, about this disputed matter between Shylock and Antonio the merchant. We turned over many books together. He is furnished with my opinion. He says that we consulted many books together to solve this strange case, and he is furnished with my opinion. He knows what my opinion regarding this case is, which bettered with his own learning, because he himself is very knowledgeable, very learned. He has, his opinion is even made better, combine the two, the greatness whereof I cannot enough commend. Because he says that I cannot praise enough his greatness. He is so great, he is so learned, he is so knowledgeable that I cannot praise it enough. Add my importunity to fill up your Grace's request in my stead. So he is coming, he is ready to come at my request, importunity because of my request, to fill up your Grace's request in my stead. Instead of me in my place, he is ready to come and fill that gap and to do and to solve this case, fight this case. I beseech you, let his lack of years be no impediment to let him lack a reverend estimation. I request you, my lord, that just because he is young in age, it should not prevent you, it should not hinder you to let him lack, to not to give him a reverend estimation, not to give him a high regard, not to give him high respect. Because for me, because I never knew so young a body with so old a head. I have never in my life known anyone who is so young, physically so young, but so old a head, so experienced, so knowledgeable, in spite of being so less in age. I leave him to your gracious acceptance, and my lord, I request him to give a high regard and accept him in the court, whose trial should better publish his commendation. And do not let his young age hinder from holding him in high regard, as I have said. And because let his performance as a lawyer show that he is better than what has been said in his praise, what I have been saying in his praise. As actions speak louder than word, you will come to know after his trial in the court. After he gives his verdict in the court, you will come to know that he is so much worthy of praise as I am praising him. Now, of course, the Duke, who is already so anxious on hearing the letter, he looks up and says, "You hear the learned Bellario, what he writes? And here I take it, is the doctor come?" So he is actually addressing everybody standing there in the court. Basically, it is Antonio, Bassanio, Gratiano, and the other magnificos, the noblemen who are standing. He says, "Have you all heard? And here I take it." I think because now see, Portia is already being escorted inside the court. People have already gone to bring her inside. She is dressed up as Dr. Balthazar. Remember, he says, and I think that this is the doctor whom Dr. Bellario has recommended. Now enter Portia dressed like a doctor of laws. And the Duke says, "Give me your hand. Come, you from Dr. Bellario." You want to shake his hand, thinking that he is a male, he is a gentleman. And are you coming from Dr. Bellario? Portia says, "I did, my lord." See, children, of course we don't say "I did," the tense, but Shakespeare's language, "Yes, my lord, I come from Dr. Bellario." Duke says, "You are welcome. Take your place. Are you acquainted with the difference that holds the present question in this court?" So he bids him a most hearty welcome, says, "Take your seat, and I think you are acquainted. You know, you are well informed about the dispute, the matter of dispute, which is at presently in question in the court." Portia, "I am informed thoroughly of the cause. Which is the merchant heir and which is the Duke? Which is the Jew?" Portia says that, "Yes, I have full knowledge. I have been fully informed about the case. I have full knowledge of this cause of dispute. Who is the merchant? Antonio, and who is the Jew? Shylock over here." Duke at once instructs Shylock and Antonio. Says Antonio and old Shylock both stand forth, means come forward. Portia, "Is your name Shylock?" So naturally she can make out the Jew. This elderly looks. "Your name is Shylock." Shylock is my name, yes. Portia, of course, she remarks in the guise of Balthazar, Dr. Balthazar, "Of a strange nature is the suit you follow, yet in such rule that the Venetian law cannot impugn you as you do proceed." Yes, of course, it's a very unusual and a very strange case which you are following here in the court. Yet, in spite of that, I can say that the court of Venice, no law in Venice can deny this legal right. Why? Because you cannot be challenged by this law. Your legal right cannot challenge you. Why? Because it cannot find any fault in your case, the way you proceed, the way you are following the case. Then she turns to Antonio. "You stand within his danger, do you not?" Yes, you are in his danger, in danger of being killed according to the suit he is following, aren't you? Antonio, "Aye." So he says, "Yes, he says so." Then Portia says, "Do you confess to the bond? Do you agree to the bond? You agree to have made this agreement, so you admit that you have made this agreement." Antonio says, "Yes, I do." Of course, Antonio has resigned himself to his fate, so he agrees to everything. Portia, then must the Jew be merciful? She says, then of course there is no other way for this open and shut case. The only recourse can be through showing mercy. Only if mercy is shown by the Jew, Shylock, to Antonio, can this case be solved amicably. Otherwise, it's very difficult to be solved. Shylock, on what compulsion must I? Tell me that. Of course, Shylock is adamant to take his revenge. He's relentless. He says, why? Tell me on what grounds must I be merciful? Tell me. Again he challenges. He's already challenged the Duke and others. And to the doctor of law, Balthazar, also he says, tell me, why should I be merciful? Now see children, this is a famous, now Portia in the disguise of Dr. Balthazar delivers this speech telling Shylock why he should be merciful. And this speech on mercy by Shakespeare through Portia under the disguise of Dr. Balthazar has become world famous. It has become famous in the whole field of literature. And because of the quality of mercy, which is compared to a godly attribute. So it's a beautiful speech and is also important. So let us read it and try to follow. So now Portia says, the quality of mercy, she tells Shylock why he should be merciful. She says, the quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. She says, the quality of mercy cannot be forced. It is not forced. Rather, it is like the rain, the gentle rain which falls from the sky above. So it is a simile also. She is comparing the quality of mercy to the gentle rain. It cannot be forced. It comes out gently from heaven upon the place beneath, just like the rain falls gently upon the land beneath. So the quality of mercy also outpours from the heart of people. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. So this quality of mercy is a quality which is blessed twice. It blesses the person who shows mercy and the person who receives mercy. Tis mightiest in the mightiest. It is the greatest quality, the most powerful of the people. It becomes the throned monarch better than his crown. Becomes means it suits the king. Throned monarch is the king sitting on the throne. It suits him even better than the glittering crown which the king is wearing. His scepter shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above the sceptered sway. It is enthroned in the heart of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. So she says that his scepter is actually a rod which a king holds in his hand, which symbolizes royal authority. It is actually just a rod which symbolizes his authority on the earth. And it instills a feeling of awe and majesty, respect and to his power and grandeur among his subjects. But this quality of mercy is above the sceptered sway, beyond the sway of this rod, beyond the worldly power of the king. So this scepter shows the force only of the worldly power. This characteristic which instills awe and majesty, respect to the power and grandeur of the king, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of king, because the subjects fear the king, instills awe in them. But mercy is beyond the sway of this rod, beyond this earthly power. It is enthroned in the heart of kings. So it is actually deep rooted in the heart of king. It is actually an attribute, a quality which is found in God himself. And earthly power death then shows God's when mercy seasons justice. And if a king shows mercy, then justice is tempered with mercy. His quality becomes just like God's. He becomes next his quality becomes next to godliness. Therefore, Jew, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. That is why, Shylock, though you demand what is due to you in the name of justice, but remember that if you were to be judged according to the strict justice of God, then none of us will be saved or delivered from evil. See, this reminds us of the Lord's Prayer, which we pray to God every day, as we say, forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. So similarly, Portia means to say that only. Then she says, I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea. So I have already spoken so much in order to soften your claim of justice, which if you follow this strict course of Venice must need give sentence against the merchant. Because if you are adamant to follow it, of course, the court of Venice, which follow the constitution, which is very strict, it will have to give the sentence, it have to pronounce the sentence against Antonio, this merchant who is standing over here. So this much for today. Try to go through it and do the workbooks.